What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I am the tech teacher, and here we cover all things tech. So if that interests you, go ahead and subscribe down below, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Logitech G502 Lightspeed wireless mouse. This has been my main mouse for well over a year now, and I must say that although it came out quite some time ago, it's still super viable with the competition today. And we're going to look into all of the different little quirks that this mouse has, as always. And we're also going to go into the software, show you a little bit of gameplay of the mouse, and just really get to know this mouse, see it on this ins and this outs, let you know what I like about it, let you know what I dislike about it, and at the end we're going to put it all together and see if it's still worth it in 2021. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into the review. Just taking a quick look at the mouse and around the box. There's not a whole bunch going on the front other than the Lightspeed logo showing you that this is the wireless version. On the side, you'll get a couple of the specifications. Some of the more notable ones are the fact that it has a 1000 hertz report rate, which advertises it at 1 millisecond response rate or response time. Also has all the dimensions as far as height, weight, width, all that different stuff. And it also advertises a 48-hour battery life. Pretty sure you guys can see that on the camera. If you want to look at any of these closer, just go ahead and pause the video. Besides that, the back has a couple more of the features. They include these weights that I honestly haven't seen since I opened the box, because why would you add more weights to an already pretty heavy pretty heavy mouse? Beyond me. So again, it's going into the Lightspeed, lets you know about the new DPI sensor, telling you that you could tune the weight with those weights that I was telling you about. And lastly, it lets you know that there's 11 programmable buttons that you can change in the software, which we are going to take a look at. This side has nothing. The bottom has just the contents, what's in the box, what you'll need, stuff like that. Top, nothing. And that's really it. Even the inside of the box doesn't have a whole bunch going on. It just, of course, it came with a manual that I don't think I have anymore. So this is what the inside of the box looks like. Mouse just sitting up in here for the back. A little bit of reading material, legal stuff. Nothing to write home about. And this here is the mouse in all its glory. One thing I really like about this is this button right above the DPI button is actually a wheel lock. So if I was to click that, I could spin the wheel and it stops. Or if I was to release it, it releases the bearing. So this thing will spin for a long time off of one flick, which is really good when you're browsing pages or just doing really anything where you don't want to get all those persistent bumps when you're scrolling. Below that has a DPI button. Well, actually, that's not the DPI button. This is a menu button, I think. Just one of the 11 programmable buttons. It can be whatever you want it to be, because you can go into the software and change this stuff. So this one above here is a mechanical button that changes the wheel. Well, this one here is an actual button that you can set as a bind. The wheel also has two more binds that you can set if you flick to the right or flick to the left. I don't know if you can see that clearly on the camera, but those are actual buttons that you can program. Of course, you have your left and right click like normal. And you have two more buttons over here that you can use to adjust your DPI on the fly by default by holding down this button right here, which is the DPI button. With this, or they also call it a sniper button, you can hold this down, and as long as you're holding it, it will apply a secondary DPI to your mouse that you would have already had to set up through the software. So let's say you're sniping and you want your DPI to drop down from 800 to 400 so you can really fine tune those adjustments. You can do that. Although I've never seen anyone actually use it and successfully pull it off. It's not really that practical, just kind of a cool thing to have. Besides just the DPI button on the side, you also have two more little thumb buttons that you can press and bind to whatever you need it to be. And the bottom of this, you can just flick and it comes right off. This area right around here is where you would put those weights in if you so chose to do so. As you can see, I don't have any weights in because, like I said, why would you make a pretty heavy mouse even more heavy? And down here you have the battery pack that actually makes this thing wireless. You can just snap out just like that. And below that you have a slot where you can put the USB receiver if you're traveling with the mouse and want to make sure you're not going to lose it or anything like that. You also have the on and off button right down here, which is pretty standard with most wireless mice. On the inside of here, disappointingly enough, they use a micro USB cable as opposed to USB-C. Yes, this is a fairly old mouse, few years old, but it's not too old to have USB-C, and this is a real bummer to have on this mouse. I remember making the same complaint about this extremely expensive keyboard by Logitech, which also came with micro USB. So just a really big disappointment. Hopefully Logitech catches up soon with the USB-Cs in their mouses, in their mice. On the other hand, if you decide to pick up Logitech's PowerPlay mousepad, then you will have the capability of charging your mouse while you're playing at the same time wirelessly, thus eliminating the need for that micro USB cable. I do like the way that the texture feels around here, this little grip down here, and on the other side helps me, control the mouse when I'm in high intensity engagements and you gotta move really quick and don't want to worry about losing the mouse or the fingers being in the wrong spot. It's really easy to keep this under control. It just feels intuitive with these grips they have here, and it handles sweat very well as well. All right guys, taking a look at the software. This is the Logitech G Hub, which hosts all of my Logitech devices that I have plugged in. The only thing missing is the steering wheel because it's not plugged in. We're interested in the G502 Lightspeed, so let's go ahead and click on that. The first screen that we have to pop up is our DPI speed. It shows up as a slider, and you can change it anywhere from 100 all the way up to 25,600. I personally play on a DPI of 800 and just leave that set. This is also where you can assign your DPI shift button if you wanted to. You could go in here and of course drag this. The DPI shift button is the only one that I actually have, but if you wanted to add another DPI, just click on the line, that'll put that on there and that actually becomes your DPI. You can't tell, but I'm barely moving. You can also assign the DPI shift to your button, to one of your mouse buttons, which would normally be this one. Now if we go back over here, then you throw that on there, then you'll be able to see down here showing that the DPI is changing as soon as I hit that button. But like I said, it's not really practical to have that, and I don't use it. You can also change your report rate, which you will want high as possible. This lets your mouse know how often to report to your computer, which reduces latency and also just makes a smoother feel. It's kind of like FPS, but for mice. And you can have this locked, or you can have it vary between the different games that you play. And you can do that for all of the settings, for the sensitivity, for your macros if you set those up, and even your lighting. You can have different lighting profiles for different games if you're into that. But we're going to focus on the assignments tab for right now. Here you can assign any of these, any key, any combination of keys, any macros, anything to any of the mouse buttons. This is where you can really get creative. I made a couple different macros that I put on a couple different buttons for different games. For the most part, I keep everything the same though. I don't use specific profiles for specific games. But if you go through here, you will see that you can get very intricate. You can put any letter. You can even just put actions if you're into a Discord or Overwolf or even OBS. You can assign the macros like I showed you. You can launch applications with the touch of a button. As I mentioned earlier, besides just macros and the sensitivity, you can come in here and also change your light sync. I pretty much keep mine the same, breathing, red. You can change the rate, which is how fast it does it, and it gives you a little visual representation of it on the screen over here. See, as I bring it down, it slows down. You can change your brightness, and then you can go through and change all of the different profiles that you want. You can have fixed, you can cycle through the different colors, you can turn it off, have it breathing like I usually keep mine. You can even click on part of the screen and it'll try to sample that color, or you can have it like an audio visualizer. Like I usually keep mine on breathing red because I'm changing these colors. Excuse me. When you click on the logo, you can go through and change from fixed to cycle through the different colors, breathing, and like I was saying, you can change how fast or slow it breathes. So now you see it's kind of flicking, and here is super. Actually, I'm gonna bring it up a little more. But even this is like super slow. And just like the macros and the sensitivity, you can go through here and change the different lighting profiles for the different games if you're into that type of thing. Over here on the right, it shows your battery level and even about how many more hours you have left to play if you do not charge it. As far as the software goes, that's pretty much all there is for the mouse. Well guys, that's all I have for you today. If you did learn anything new or just generally enjoyed the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel. Also turn on those notifications so you don't miss any uploads coming up in the future. It really helps out the channel. And also don't be afraid to comment any ideas for future videos that you may have down below in the comment section, clearly. So guys, as always, thanks for watching and have a good day.